Success has a shine to it when you're younger. You chase it, build it, protect it. And if you're fortunate, it becomes the shape of your life. You become the man who did the thing, who led the team, who built the house, who was the rock. And then, one day, you're 75, and the meetings stop, and the phone is silent. And all the things you built become stories, then footnotes, then dust. I'm not bitter. Not even sad, really. Just surprised that no one tells you this part. That success has shadows. Chapter 1: Isolation after accomplishment. They always said I was independent, self-sufficient, respected. I was the one who handled the crisis, who closed the deals, who gave advice and never asked for any. I never wanted to burden anyone, and over time, I became very good at being alone. Now, I live in a beautiful house with wide windows and polished floors. There are awards on the wall, books with my name in them, a wine rack that used to be for celebrations. The fridge is full, the rooms are clean, the garden is trimmed. Everything in its place except someone to share it with. Sometimes I turn the TV on just for background noise. I walk from room to room with no real reason. I sit by the window, not waiting for anything, just sitting. People still say I'm impressive, but no one stays long. My phone rings less. The invitation stopped, and I've stopped reaching out. Success made me capable, but it also made me distant. I didn't mean to build walls. I thought I was supposed to stand tall. Now those walls echo. And all I want some nights is for someone to knock without an appointment, for someone to stay without needing a reason, for someone to remember that even the strong get lonely. Have you ever felt this way, surrounded by everything, but still alone? Share your story in the comments. You might be the voice someone else needs to hear. Lately, I've started talking out loud to no one. Not because I'm losing my mind, but because silence can be deafening when it's all you hear. Sometimes I replay old conversations in my head just to remember how it felt to be needed, not admired, not respected, just needed. That kind of success, the kind that lingers in someone else's life, feels a lot further away now. Chapter 2: Loss of Purpose Post-Retirement. I used to have a reason to wake up, not just habit purpose. I was needed. I had calendars, deadlines, people waiting on me. And I liked that. I liked knowing where to stand and what to solve. Then came the farewell dinner, speeches, laughter, a gold watch I never wear. And the next morning, silence. No emails. No urgency. Just unclaimed hours. At first, I told myself I needed the rest, that I'd take up gardening or woodworking. I made lists, bought supplies. Then the tools gathered dust. The flowers wilted, and the clock seemed to slow down just to mock me. I started waking up later, not because I was tired, but because there was nothing pulling me forward. I watched the morning news, ate alone, stared at the backyard and waited for. I don't even know what. Sundays used to mean something. Now they feel like Tuesdays. The whole week blurs into one long, muted hum. The strange thing is, no one told me how much identity hides inside responsibility. Without others needing me, I began to forget how to need myself. Sometimes I stand in front of the mirror and ask, what now? The hardest part wasn't leaving the job. It was learning how to matter without it. If you've ever felt lost after letting go of your role, tell us. Your story might be the permission someone else needs to heal. Chapter 3: Emotional Disconnection. I haven't cried in 20 years. I used to be proud of that. There's a certain praise that comes with being unshakable. When people fall apart and you don't, they call you strong. But strength, I've learned, can become armor. And after a while, you forget how to take it off. I watched my brother's casket lower into the ground and felt nothing. I hugged my granddaughter at her wedding and smiled, but something inside me didn't move. It's not depression. It's not sorrow. It's numbness. A quiet, velvet fog. I read somewhere that emotional suppression over time can dull your nervous system. That if you don't let yourself feel, the feelings don't just wait, they leave. Now I watch emotional scenes in movies and wonder what other people are feeling. I'm not in sympathy, but it feels like acting. I used to think crying was weakness, but now I miss it. I miss the release, the rush, the aliveness. There's a cost to always being composed, and I think I've been paying it for too long. I used to believe feelings were distractions. Now I think they were the color of life, and I've been living in grayscale. If you've ever felt yourself going numb like life is happening, but not reaching you, leave a comment. Someone out there might need to know they're not alone. Sometimes I wonder if this numbness is my punishment for surviving too long without tending to my own heart. I can recount the events of my life in perfect detail, but the feelings? They've blurred, faded. And the longer I go without feeling something real, the harder it becomes to believe that I still can. Who am I when no one's watching? For decades, I was Dr. Williams, the director, the advisor, the man with answers. People respected the title. They came to me with problems. I wore the role like a tailored suit it fit. But now, when I introduce myself, I feel the hesitation, the need to explain, the discomfort of being unremarkable. At the grocery store, I'm just another old man comparing apples. And I wonder, if no one sees you as important, are you still important? Stripped of title and task, I met a version of myself I hadn't spoken to in years. And he didn't have much to say. There's freedom in letting go of labels, but first, there's fear. Deep, aching fear. Of becoming invisible. Of becoming only what's left. Sometimes I catch myself reusing stories not because they're relevant, but because they're proof I mattered once. I miss the feeling of people listening closely when I spoke. I miss walking into a room and having it change. Now I enter quietly and exit even. Quieter. And when I look in the mirror, I see a man who's lived. Yes, but who is still trying to understand who he is without an audience. If you've ever felt like your identity ended with your title, share your experience below. Someone else might be asking the same silent question. The applause ends, but the silence afterward is louder than I ever imagined. Even my posture changed after retirement, shoulders less squared, voice softer, handshakes fewer. It's strange how many parts of me were propped up by other people's expectations. Now it's just me. No scripts, no schedules, just raw, unstructured being. And some days, that feels like freedom. Other days, it feels like erasure. Chapter 5. Fear of Irrelevance. I used to speak in boardrooms. Now I speak to plants. It's not that I mind the silence, it's the slow fade of being heard. My phone used to ring with people asking for advice. Now it rings with spam. The world moves quickly, and it forgets kindly. I see young people with fire in their eyes, thinking they've discovered something new. I smile, but they don't look up. There's no anger in me, just the soft sorrow of watching your wisdom go unused. I have things to say, but fewer people ask. And sometimes I wonder if I'm just practicing being gone. Not dead, just irrelevant. I used to chase legacy. Now I chase connection. A cup of coffee shared means more than a line in a speech. But even that, sometimes, is hard to find. There was a time when my opinion could shape a meeting, change a mind, or inspire a room. Now I practice my thoughts in silence, unsure if they still hold weight. I don't want applause anymore. I just want to feel useful, even for a moment. Relevance used to mean being seen. Now it means being remembered when I'm not in the room. If you've ever felt like the world moved on without you, or that your wisdom no longer finds ears, leave a comment. Someone else might be wondering if they still matter too. I attend community events sometimes, hoping someone might recognize me, but mostly I stand near the back and leave early. People talk fast now. They don't pause the way we used to. Sometimes I open my mouth to share something I've learned and then close it again. Not because it's not worth sharing, but because I'm not sure anyone wants to hear it. That doubt quiet, creeping has become my most constant companion. Final reflection. They said I was successful. Maybe I was. But success, I've come to see, is not the end. It's a door. And after that door, there's a long, quiet hallway where you learn what truly matters. Not the applause, but the presence. Not the legacy, but the quiet ability to love and feel again. Maybe real success after 70 isn't about being remembered. Maybe it's about remembering how to feel. I used to think legacy was what I left behind. Now I think it's how I make people feel while I'm still here. The world moves so quickly that we forget to sit with ourselves, to look someone in the eyes without checking the time, to say, "I see you," and mean it. I've learned that slowing down isn't losing pace, it's returning to rhythm. When I let go of what no longer served me, titles, pride, expectations, I made space for tenderness. And in that space, I began to notice the small things again, the way light falls on old wood, the warmth in a shared silence, the grace of still being here. This is not a sad ending. It's a quiet return to what was always true. That success without soul is noise, but peace? Peace is music. And if you're listening, really listening, maybe you'll hear it too. And maybe you'll remember your own quiet truth. Because in the end, we are not remembered by what we built, but by how we made others feel in the moments that mattered. If this reflection stirred something in you, hold on to it. Don't scroll past. Sit with it. The world doesn't need more success stories. It needs more people who remember how to feel, how to care, how to be fully alive, even quietly.